Hello and welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from a news about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. Out for the concert tonight. Government's Operation Recover or Loot Oral faces questions amid rising public concern whether or not it will succeed and achieve the set objectives and impact. Stay with us. Captain retired Prince Kofi Amwabeng has been sharing his thoughts on this. Roads Minister rebuts claims of sole sourcing under Big Push program as the minority demands full disclosure on this policy. So that's on Ghana Tonight. We have a conversation. Also, Ghana Medical Association proposes holistic solutions to tackle the no-bed syndrome in public hospitals. We have the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association joining us for a big conversation on this particular one. We have this. Also, we're keeping eyes on the ongoing United Nations General Assembly, and we will be touching base with our man on the ground. Martin Esiedu Date is currently in the United States. He's going to be connecting with us to give us some live updates on the UN General Assembly and what the President, John Dramani Mahama, has been talking about. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
President John Mahama has raised concerns about the lack of global recognition for Africa's historical role in Europe's development as calls for reparatory justice gain momentum. Speaking at a high-level event on reparatory justice at the United Nations headquarters in New York, he said Africa's contributions to global economic and industrial growth have largely been overlooked.
When it comes to the contributions that Africa has made to enriching Europe and building the so-called New World, the silence is deafening. We have paved roads through mountains, we've put down railroad tracks, we've constructed buildings, laying brick after brick. We have cut sugar, cane. We've picked cocoa and cotton. We've descended into mines to unearth precious metals and stones. And we have wet nest babies.
The government has rejected claims by the minority in parliament over the use of sole sourcing in awarding contracts under the Big Push infrastructure program. The minority had called for the immediate publication of all awarded contracts, raising concerns about transparency and fiscal discipline. However, Roads Minister Kwame Govins Abuja maintains that the contract details have always been publicly available.
Sole sourcing even is acceptable if in situations where there is the need to extend the implementation of works which were previously competitively procured to speed up completion. It will therefore be mischievous for any right-thinking member of society to conclude that the Ministry of Road and Highways only procures work through sole sourcing.
Persons with disabilities on Monday protested at the Ministry for Genders, Children and Social Protection over unemployment and delays in job placement. They say that despite government efforts to promote inclusion, many have not benefited and continue to struggle without stable incomes. Speaking for the group, Gilbert Boateng noted that the demonstration came after multiple unsuccessful attempts to engage the government.
The truth of the matter is that some of these people have been there for 15 years, some for 10 years, 5 years, and what have you. So that is why you can see they are chanting that all that the minister has said is what? Political talk.
Founder of UT Group and Amwabeng Leadership Foundation, Captain retired Prince Kofi Amwabeng, has raised concerns about the judiciary's potential to undermine the government's anti-corruption drive, particularly the Operation Recover or Loot Oral initiative. He warned that well-resourced corruption suspects are using top lawyers to delay court proceedings indefinitely, which could weaken accountability efforts.
10 months down the line, how much have we collected? How transparent is it? Because when people have those kind of monies, they can manipulate the system. They can pay judges to let me put it to the raw. Because we are not paying our judges well. And they are going to pension, go on pension. And what are they going to eat? How are they going to die? So really, if somebody has 1 billion CDs and you even process and take him to court, the guy can pay and get out of it. I'm telling you, it's a fact.
Two accused persons in the alleged 291 million Ghana cedis National Petroleum Authority corruption case have been discharged by the High Court after the Office of the Special Prosecutor dropped charges against them. Prosecutors said Albert Ankra and Isaac Mensah, both directors of KL Logistics Company Limited, will now serve as prosecution witnesses after cooperating with the Special Prosecutor.
As more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, also on 3 News on YouTube. As always, proudly brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Saxo Insecticide Spray and Coil, Tom Preco. Coming up next on Ghana Tonight, the Operation Recover All Loot is facing growing scrutiny and some questions amid doubt over whether or not the set objectives and the success can be achieved within this particular period of the tenure of John Dramani Mahama, because ends in the next less than 3 years, as a matter of fact. And this is coming at a time when there's been already questions about the pace at which oral cases are being prosecuted, and whether those cases can be concluded within the tenure of John Dramani Mahama. Founder of UT Group and Amoabeng Leadership Foundation, Captain Retired Prince Kofi Amoabeng, has expressed concern about the judiciary, which he says could derail government's anti-corruption efforts through the Operation Recover All Loot, that's oral. Prince Kofi Amoabeng argued that highly resourceful corruption suspects are employing powerful lawyers to ensure indefinite delays of their cases. I sat with him earlier in a very long conversation. We're just going to give you snippets of it, specific on this matter of oral. Take a look.
Now, the politics has become a very expensive game. Winner takes all kind of game. And you have to find anything and everything to get in there and invest, literally invest in there. And then when you win your elections, it's payback time.
Sure.
And therefore, you have to go into any sector and every sector where the government has voted monies for projects and take from there to pay for the debt that you have. And it's scary, if you ask me, because it's not small monies. If you look at our current state, before a party comes to power, they must have spent, the flag bearer alone must have spent something around 1 billion cedis.
1 billion cedis.
And all the other people,
the members of parliament,
550 million, whatever million, and then we hand over power to them. And what do you expect? That they come and take care of you? I don't think so. Because they owe, and they have to pay. And not just pay, but also build a war chest for the next election. And return favors and all that. So the policy that we have has become so expensive that people that we put in office or people that we eventually elect, who, by the time they are in position of authority, they owe so much, and they can only take from the state to pay. And how much is their pay? We all know their pay is nothing. Sure. But we all see the kind of cars they drive, we see their lifestyles, and we're not saying anything. And therefore, we should know that for taking monies from these people to put them in power, they need to take the state and be left. NDC have come in, but of course they are busy chasing bigger fish. So ordinary tilapia is not good enough. But then, okay, on a more serious note, so the judge was a high court, an appeal court judge sitting at the high court, as in our case was a high court. And then when the NPP came in, he was promoted to Supreme Court judge. So then to sit on the high court, he had to come down 2 steps. As we speak, he has set his retirement age, and therefore has retired and gone home.
So a new judge would have to be wanted to take over
For us
the
to
case.
restart.
You know, with these issues you raise with the judiciary and with the current Operation Recover All Loot objective that this administration is on, a number of people are standing trial. Do you have any hope and confidence in this oral?
No.
You don't have any hope in oral?
The oral. They said they were going to recover $21 billion or some huge amount like that. We all had hope in it. Maybe 1 year or 10 months down the line, how much have we collected? How transparent is it? Because when people have those kind of monies, they can manipulate the system. They can pay judges to let me put it to the raw. Because we are not paying our judges well. And they are going to go on pension. And what are they going to eat? How are they going to die? So really, if somebody has 1 billion CDs and you even process and take him to court, the guy can pay and get out of it. I'm telling you, it's a fact. You know, I'm not saying all judges are corrupt, but I mean, when you do not actually remunerate your judges well and they have to live a certain lifestyle and you have such huge cases that they have to decide, really, I mean, you are just being an ostrich, putting your head in the sand and saying that you're covered. You're not covered. We have too many of these issues. You know, oral 21.something billion, how much have we collected? Not even 1 billion. And the people are working free and putting the money anywhere, doing whatever they can with it. And me and you sit here and we only listen to the news. And they are not transparent about it. I mean, this should be something that they are reporting on case by case and what
The Attorney General comes out every now and then.
But the Attorney General is overwhelmed by case. That's why my case has not been heard. I'm sure he hasn't even read my case, recent submission that we made. But there are too many cases. So Attorney General is not even well staffed to take care of the huge case that it has. And of course, there's what some people call the meandering in the court. Some judges, some lawyers are experts in just prolonging cases. So anything they file, go back, file and go back. Meanwhile, their clients are sitting free.
No, it's taking advantage of the loopholes in the system.
So we are in big trouble. But the judiciary especially concerns me because I've tested it and it's like they are murdering people. They are wasting people's lives by inaction. But again, it's not their fault. It's the system that is in operation now.
So let's separate the issues. So oral, a good objective, but then with the current judiciary as you have it.
The problem I find now is that people who are corrupt and are charged and even found guilty have no shame. You see them in town and they are enjoying themselves and they have funds. When we were growing up, it wasn't like that. Though. If you go to prison and come, you can't even come back to the same town where you come from. You hide. Now you can see crooks and it's like there are lots. Some of them are being made chiefs and all sort of things. People are being to prison and stuff. So we've lost the value that we used to have, which is really serious and it's sad. There must be some value that we should hold on to, things that we don't do as a society. And people should be ashamed and we should let them feel ashamed when they do it. But now it's like anything goes. It's only money that matters. Yeah. Once you have money, nothing matters. And you are prepared to pay. So we have a problem and it's big and I don't know, the government must sit down. It's not about constitution. The laws are there, the constitution is there, but it's not working. Because the people don't have the qualities, the values to even make sure that the constitution and the laws work. Because you have to empower these institutions. It's the institutions that will make sure that people are respected and people are treated fairly. But when the institutions get corrupted, then of course it's all about the money that you can have, and that gives you the power to overrule whatever the institution is, where the institutions become inactive.
That's Captain Retired Prince Kofi Amoabeng there, clear on his position on the Operation Recover or Loot. And private legal practitioner Martin Pebu is joining us. He served on the oral preparatory team. And when matters like this come up and questions about the oral's objective being achieved, is one to speak to. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Mr. Okansi.
Now, Captain Retired Prince Kofi Amoabeng is not the only one who holds this position, and the concerns about whether or not the objective of oral will be fully achieved within the set period of this Mahama administration ending in 2028. That is him as president. And also the fact that there are loopholes in the judiciary which lawyers, your colleagues who are expert in prolonging cases, are taking advantage of. So he says that makes him feel hopeless about oral. Does this concern you as well?
Yes, it does. Mr. Okansi, it does concern me because, you know, Kofi Amoabeng is a businessman who has experienced our court systems over the decades, okay? Of course, I mean, needless to add that he was MD of what? UT Bank. And we all know the work that he did before UT Bank, the way it was a savings and loan, and even before the savings and loan, it was like, can we say, microfinance, and the way he grew the business up to a bank and everything. So through the various stages of growth, he interfaced with the courts, he experienced the courts, and etc. So actually, this is a wake-up call. Yes, he's playing hardball, and that is what we all need to do. We have to be ruthless, okay, and kind of, let me say, shameless in this conversation, because if we want to do the business as usual, we would not be able to tackle the problem head-on. Like they say in management, a problem well diagnosed is half what? Solved. So if you don't get the diagnosis right, so if it is, excuse me to say, caca, toothache, okay, and then whitlow, I think that's whitlow, right? And then you go and say, oh no, it's just normal headache. You would be taking normal paracetamol, which may not be good for the what? Whitlow, etc. So yes, it's true that some of the statements may appear to be putting the judiciary in the bad light, etc. But in the circumstances, we have no option. Is to make sure that we try to curb the excesses. And you see, in every profession, today we are talking about the judiciary. Tomorrow, if we even talk about businessmen, they also have their excesses. I mean, let's even use Mr. Amoabeng himself, not to attack him, but just to tell you how we are all in this together. The banking crisis, you saw what our bankers did to us. And it's not only in Ghana. Ours is even small compared to the banking crisis of the US, the subprime mortgage, 2008. The banks in America were involved in a lot of fraudulent deals where they were giving loans to people who didn't qualify, and that wasn't the first time. So what I'm saying is that it's not as if Amoabeng is done bad by putting the judiciary on the spotlight. It's a hard conversation we must have if oral is to succeed. And so, yes, and it's also anchored in the Constitution, Article 125, that justice emanates from the people. Yes, Article 125 of our Constitution, 1992, says justice emanates from the people, right? And then you go on, and it's on the behalf of the people that justice is administered, etc. So the people can complain. You know, we have this popular local saying that let me do transliteration to say that if the barber is giving you a haircut and you don't complain, you end up with a bad haircut, right? Yes. So that's to say that when you put people in the saddle, you must continue to scratch them, continue to pester them to make sure that they are delivering their best. So in that light, we have to embrace what Mr. Amoabeng is saying. And so we'll look at how to strengthen the system So you see about lawyers causing delays in trials, etc.
He says you are expert in prolonging cases. You look at the loopholes, you do that. You prolong cases for so long, hoping that there'll be a change in government and there'll be a favorable government to your cause, and then your case ends. Because, for instance, he says he's been caught for 8 years after the collapse of UT.
Yeah. Yes, you see, that's why he's experienced. So we don't do ourselves any good if a lawyer came on your show to say, no, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. No, Amoabi is not a kid. He's seen a lot, right? So I'm not here to say it doesn't exist. Like I said, this is hardball. We have to be ruthless, shameless, and tackle the problem head on. You remember on the key points 2 weeks ago, this same matter came up, that our lawyers kind of mastering the art of delaying cases. And I said, look, I've seen some, okay? I mean, it happens. You can't run away from it. So we'll be able to solve it when citizens get up and make a lot of noise. We want this system to move. So because of that, there are some judges who would not have it at all. Even things that everybody will agree that this one deserves an adjournment, those judges don't agree. They want to go on, whether you are sick or not. Of course, those ones are extreme, but the point I'm making is that, so you have some other judges who are at the extreme end, don't take any adjournments like that. They will drive through the case. They will go with the case at breakneck speed. It doesn't matter that a lawyer is sick, etc. And you see us also at the bar complaining about those judges, etc. So it's a mixed bag. So Mr. Moabin is saying judges who, like, we all, generally speaking, we like judges who will be more accommodating. I mean, would look out to make a kind of help us in our frailties. Because sometimes we fall sick, but instead of 1 week being sufficient, human as we are, you see maybe people say, oh, it's 2 weeks adjournment I need, etc. So the more we complain, the bottom line is that the more, hopefully, we will apply the rules more rigorously and more firmly. And then the more we'll get better rules. Because you see, look, truth of the matter is that our criminal justice system is outmoded. It's not fit for purpose. Not fit for purpose at all. A lot of the rules are old, etc. But, because society is not pushing enough, society is placing, our society, we are placing more emphasis on the big push agenda. We want more roads. We want more hospitals. So you see that generally, at our stage of development, we place premium on the physicals, the tangibles, okay, the big roads, the big hospitals, the big schools, etc., than justice delivery. And justice delivery is also very, very important because it helps to keep the society together. Because with our law and order, society breaks down. So it's good. I think we've spoken about all of this. Maybe we should be looking, though Chief Justice Bafuboni has less than a year to go, I think maybe we can reach out to him to see that, okay, in his term, what else can he do? I've already mentioned the matter of the way the court documents are served, the messengers, let's call them, the messengers who take court documents to lawyers, and they are very few. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of graduates at home. So we need to open up the messengers. If you want the technical term, they say the bailiffs. We need to open up and employ more people. So let's see, maybe if you talk to the powers that be, maybe Chief Justice Bafuboni will tell you the other things that he will do to make justice delivery better in the rest of his term. Right. But it's a welcome conversation. Nobody should attack Mr. Moabin. Nobody should say no. The unsavory things have to be said before we can get a better society.
Councillor, I do appreciate your time on this. And while we are at it, Franklin Cudjoe is also the founding president of Imani Africa. He's joining us as well on Zoom. Mr. Cudjoe, thank you for joining us. I mean, you just heard the Captain Retired Prince Kofi Amoabeng as well on oral, and then the fight against corruption. He narrows his concern down to the judiciary and the loopholes in the judiciary, which he says some lawyers have actually mastered the art of prolonging cases, and other weaknesses within the judiciary as one of the main issues that he said could impact on the efficiency or effectiveness of the oral in itself. Does this concern you as well?
Certainly, oral was overhyped, and to be fair, and I think it is important to also at first make the point that it doesn't mean a lot of wicked, crooked things did not happen. You know, let's not kid ourselves. Quite a number of things happened, but I think Amavin is right to the extent that, look, even if the state does whatever it does and is ready, which unfortunately I've not seen a lot, because I expected by now we have a number of crack prosecutors who will be investigating this thing quickly and be processing people quickly, rather than the what seems to be like the slow pace. I mean, already the Attorney General and they are complaining that a case, you start a case and then 4 months later before the case will be called. I mean, you can't be serious if you want to fight this hardcore corruption, or you want ORA to succeed with this type of what I call lame duck judicial process. And I think it is important that we speak to the matter and ensure that that process is quickly, accelerated. But at the same time, we should also be calling on government, the AG department, to get a lot more prosecutors. So as soon as the case are called, the case are ready to go. Because look, people have deep pockets. People who have engaged in all kinds of malfeasance have deep pockets, and they'll fight this thing, fight in courts to the next 6-7 years, right? So the least you can do is to make sure that the case is actually watertight, and it's investigated by good people who are really interested in helping the cause. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, really. I mean, it's a mixed bag. One part tells me it may not succeed entirely, but it may not succeed well at all. I mean, that is the worry. Yeah.
Mr. Kujo, thank you for this. And I think that concern is summed up in a very, very straightforward way. In 30 seconds or maybe in less than a minute, he says, in his view, oral probably was overhyped, and that's what is leading to some of these high expectations. That's Mr. Franklin Kujo's diagnosis. Quickly on this.
Okay, yes. So, look, once again, I'm not in the business of denying what Mr. Kujo is saying. We should let all the opinions coexist. That's how we make progress. But quickly, let me add that the 21 billion, please, for the records, was not an official estimation by the oral committee. No, the 21 billion to be...
But the member of the committee made that statement. Samuel Okujesu Ablakwa made that statement.
Yes. And then number two, even for him, he said, if we can prosecute all these cases, if we can deal with, so it's a conditional clause. And I like where Mr. Kujo says that we need to ramp up the number of prosecutors, crack investigators, etc. You know, we've been making the same point on the key points, right? That yes, Dr. Ayuni needs to ramp up the numbers. He needs to ramp up the numbers because the Attorney General's office, they're overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed with cases. It's a, would I say, decades-old problem. Yeah, decades old. Every time you go, any practitioner will tell you that, oh, Attorney General's office, they are overwhelmed. One lawyer, too many cases. So it's, you know, so that is dragging them down. So we need to be able to recruit more and then let those, maybe the older prosecutors who are very efficient so that we free them. You see, we free them from some of the cases so that they can concentrate. And then the specialized courts, I've seen 2 of them. I've seen the 24-hour courts. That's the afternoon court. We need to increase the number of courts too. Increase the number of judges. So we recruit more judges. Then we know that, look, this judge, you give him 15 oral cases. That's all. No other business. 15. The reason I say 15 is that people will come and say his in-law is sick, etc.
Perfect. Counsel, thank you so much for your time on this matter and having this frank conversation about the sort of affairs with the judicial system. Martin Pwalugu is private legal practitioner, member of the oral preparatory team. Franklin Kujo, founding president of Imani Africa. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, Ghana Medical Association is proposing solutions to tackle the no-bed syndrome in public hospitals. Well, this is a conversation that, in fact, we started yesterday with a focus on how things are playing out with especially the Kolebuchitin Hospital, that video that went viral and got the health minister to pay a visit to the facility. I understand there's been some 200 beds that were provided, but the doctors at that Pwalugu Teaching Hospital has made it quite clear that that is not going to solve the problem. The problem is bigger than just the availability of beds, for that matter. And the Ghana Medical Association is corroborating these issues. And they say this viral video from the Pwalugu Teaching Hospital Emergency Center is real, despite the claims earlier that it could be AI generated. And they're urging the Ministry of Health to take a broader approach to fixing congestion and improve care. And the statement that they issued earlier has quite a number of pointers. Dr. Richard Salome is going to be joining us right now on Zoom for a quick conversation on this. But one, they are talking about instituting a digitized intra-hospital bed management system and search plan, timely clinical decision-making, and onward transfer of patients from the Accident and Emergency Center to appropriate departments for definitive care, retooling and building capacity in nearby hospitals. But Dr. Richard Salome is General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. He's joining us right now on Zoom. Good evening to you, Dr. Salome. Thank you for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, Alfred, and good evening to your listeners.
Now, we read through your statement, and it's quite clear the underlying issue is not just about the provision of beds, is it not, to address this problem that this viral video has captured. But this is not the first time we are seeing this. So what should be the approach so that the next time we see another viral video, the situation will be at least an improvement of what we are talking about now?
Well, first off, let me say that this matter of no bed syndrome has been with us for quite a long time. It's not peculiar to only Pwalugu Teaching Hospital, but of course, it's our largest hospital. And so the problem is much more pronounced in Accra and Pwalugu, especially because it is the largest referral center and everybody sends patients there. The challenge is that we have had issues, generally structurally. WHO will say that we need about 2 to 5 beds per 1,000 people in the population. On the average, we are doing barely 0.9 to about 1 per 1,000 of our population. That is total bed capacities. We are not, if we narrow it down to just emergency room capacity, then you see that there's a big problem already. Again, we are also bedeviled with the fact that the other facilities, neighboring facilities, do not have either the human resource capacity, the equipment, the logistics necessary to be able to manage certain emergencies adequately, safely at those facilities, and therefore are forced to refer these patients to the major referral centers, and Pwalugu being one of them. Now, there is also no coordination that currently exists where an ambulance moves and knows that I am going to this particular facility. And so Pwalugu knows that a patient is coming, and then these are the things that need to be done for the patient. And then also, sometimes it results in ambulance then having to shop around various hospitals before they find a bed for a patient. Then also there are other factors that come at play. Sometimes there are delays within facilities, not necessarily because people want to delay, but on the wards where people are stable and have to be moved to, there is no space, or there's not enough beds to take the people. And so they get stuck at the emergency. So you can say, move everybody out in 24 hours. However, there's no bed to move the person to. And so they are stuck at the emergency, taking up space. And then that means that they remain there for a long time. When other people come, then in surge situations where there are a lot of people coming in at a point, and with recent directives that have come that nobody should be turned away, you are forced to sometimes nurse people on trolleys, sometimes on the chairs, and unfortunately, as we saw in the video, nurse them, provide the immediate care on the floor, as we have seen. And this happens across various spectra. So there are multiple factors that contribute to this. There are larger issues, of course. how many emergency physicians do we have in the country manning the relevant facilities across the country? Some districts exist without even hospitals. So we still need facilities to be built. But in this specific instance of Pwalugu Teaching Hospital, providing the beds is one part of the solution, as I have mentioned. We cannot say that the beds are not necessary, but providing the beds is one arm of the solution. That is why we say that the beds may be needed, but then we also need a system that can monitor all the beds within the hospital in different departments, such that at every point in time, the emergency where it needs to move people, be it during surge situations or in situations where they may need to be moved to other wards for initial care before they are moved to the definitive ward for management, they can be able to, in real time, assess and be sure that these are the number of beds available within the facility. And these are the spaces available so that patient can be moved quickly to some of these places. Beyond that also, we have talked about actual investments to empower the neighboring facilities, like the building up of the La General Hospital, which actually was taking off a lot of referrals from the, I don't know whether it's the west or from the Nungwala, Teshin, that whole segment of all the way to Tema, but has gone down and we are still yet to have it come up. Then we have Mamprobi Hospital, we have Asha Hospital, we have Kaneshi Polyclinic, we have various other hospitals around. If these are empowered and given the necessary logistics and of course human resource with the adequate training and teleconsultation support, it will be helpful because they can then off-take Pwalugu when they exceed their capacity. And so these are some of the things we have put forth. Of course, there are larger investments that need to be done across the entire country, ensuring that district hospitals at the very least and polyclinics across the country and regional hospitals are able to adequately and safely manage most common emergencies that will appear there, so that they don't necessarily have to refer to the Pwalugu Teaching Hospital and other teaching hospitals and tertiary referral centers. We also think that we must explore the option also of back referrals. There are patients who go to the hospital, they've been operated upon. The operation is successful, for example, in an emergency situation, they are now stable. But then they can be sent back to the other facilities where they were either referred from or the neighboring facilities where they can be managed until they are discharged. And then the doctors in these two facilities can talk to each other and consult to be able to manage such patients until they are discharged. By doing that also, we build capacity at the lower levels. Again, we need to tackle the human resource problem also head on. We have seen recent recruitments into the security forces, etc. Health needs to be prioritized, and we need heavy investments. If we are taking healthcare serious in the country, we need that political commitment that injects a heavy investment into the health system by building or maybe completing some of the abandoned hospitals. The Agenda 111 come to mind. Other facilities that are at various stages of completion will provide some of the resources to be able to offtake some of these patients that are always sent to the larger referral centers. So there are multiple issues that we think we need to harness all of this, but top of it is the political will and sustained commitment to ensure that these proposals are seen through, because we have discussed these matters times without number. It is only when issues occur, then we turn around and try to scapegoat the poor health worker who has been overworked, has had to bear burdens of paying for ambulance services, house officers, residents, and who have had to run 24-hour, 48-hour shifts. And then we have to scapegoat them. That is where we think that we shouldn't do that. We should approach this matter from a holistic, comprehensive, and a systems approach to dealing with the matter.
In fact, you've gone ahead of me to answer quite a number of the questions I had, and a comprehensive approach to the solution-based recommendations. Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon, for your recommendation as well as what the way forward should be. Dr. Richard Salome is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, the minority is demanding disclosure as Roads Minister rebuts big push sole sourcing claims. Well, this has been a matter that has been snowballing for a while now, with the indication that the Fourth Estate gave into their expose or the investigations into the big push. Government is pushing back allegations by the minority or in Parliament over the use of sole sourcing in awarding some contracts under the big push agenda. The minority in Parliament called for the immediate publication of all contracts awarded under the government's flagship Big Push infrastructure program, citing concerns over transparency and fiscal discipline. Kennedy Osenyako is ranking on the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. He addressed the press earlier today. Take a look.
The Big Push program is in principle a commendable initiative if adequately resourced and efficiently implemented. The project under this flagship program of the NDC government have the potential to significantly improve connectivity and open up key economic corridors across the country. As such, we on the minority side are not opposed to the policy itself. Our concern, however, lies with the process through which the initial 50 projects have been awarded, particularly given that these projects are expected to cost the taxpayers approximately 50 billion, as indicated by the President in his 2026 SONA. In this regard, we strongly believe that government must, as a matter of urgency, should publish the full details of this contract. This should include the identities of the contractors, the specific scope of work assigned to each contractor, and the unit cost per kilometer. This will give Ghanaians the opportunity to independently assess the policy and promote transparency in infrastructure delivery. It is important to recall that these are issues that the current government spoke vehemently about whilst in opposition. There is therefore a legitimate expectation that once in government, higher standards of policy transparency will be upheld. Unfortunately, the current approach appears to mirror the very practice that were previously criticized. This does not bode well for governance and undermine public trust. Transparency remains a cornerstone of good governance. Where processes are open and information is accessible, public confidence is strengthened and unnecessary suspicion is avoided. However, when Ghanaians perceive the decisions have been taken in secrecy and things were done quietly out of public eyes, it inevitably breeds suspicion, and even in situations where no wrongdoing may have occurred, because of the lack of openness, creates room for doubt and speculation. We on the minority side are well aware of the average and the highest cost of constructing a kilometer of bitumen surfacing road. Similarly, we are knowledgeable about the cost range for asphaltic overlays, depending on the thickness and the design specification, the scope of work. The same applies to dual carriageways.
Roads Minister Governs Kwame Agboja says all the details about the contracts have always been in the public domain. Responding to the minority, take a look.
Sole sourcing even is acceptable if in situations where there is the need to extend the implementation of works which were previously competitively procured to speed up completion. Though the 23 projects I talked about that we innovated, none of them were competitively procured. They were also sourced contracts, but which were innovated at the cost of 14.8 billion Ghana cedi. Mr. Speaker, given the scale, urgency, and national importance of these projects, a mix of procurement methods were employed in accordance with the law. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that only 44% of all the major contracts included in the Big Push contract were awarded by the ministry under sole sourcing. 44%. So not what has been published by a certain online portal. We have also awarded over 400 different contracts through open competitive bidding, over 400, which is unprecedented because the record shows that from 2017 to 2024, almost all projects that the ministry carried out were sole sourced. Almost all the projects were sole sourced. It will therefore be mischievous for any right-thinking member of society to conclude that the Ministry of Road and Highways only procures work through sole sourcing. Mr. Speaker, I have already mentioned the deplorable state of the road network across the country.
That's the Roads Minister, Governs Kwame Agboja there. This is Ghana Tonight. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight, and to some more stories tonight. The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, George Napo, has revealed that the Pwalugu multipurpose dam project has stalled after the contractor allegedly took funds and left the country, abandoning the project. Appearing before Parliament's Assurances Committee earlier today, the minister said efforts are underway to revive the project despite the setback. Take a look.
We've done some work. Unfortunately, like you're aware, the contractor took the money and bolted, let me put it that way, and left Ghana. So I've been working. Sorry, I've been working with the Ministry of Finance to secure funding. That funding source has been exhausted. The current problem this country faces is that under an IMF program, you can hardly raise external funding unless it is free money or what you call grants. But it does appear that we're making very good progress. And so once we complete the IMF program, I'm sure that it then gives you the leverage to source for funding. But the Minister of Finance has indicated that the funding must be project specific. You must show proof that that project is financially viable, establish an escrow account, and repay the money within a stipulated time so that you can retire or amortize that facility. He has indicated that he is not going to the capital market to raise funding for goods and services or what you call consumption, but for bankable, marketable projects that will surely give returns. And I'm sure that the Pwalugu Dam qualifies.
We will we will call the Minister of Finance here. He also made promises. So when he comes, we'll ask him about the 17 billion he borrowed for payment of salaries. But compensation will come there. So it's not your question. The Pwalugu Dam contractor was paid $11.9 million. Have you? It may not directly have fallen under your ministry in the previous government, but because of the electricity generation component, I believe you have an interest, and so you will have followed it. Have you done audit to see whether the contractor was paid for work done, or that you believe that he bolted away, as you put it?
No, so far, our preliminary investigation shows that the contractor was not paid for the work done. And so we'll refer the matter to the Attorney General for investigation and possible prosecution. The only unfortunate thing, like I said, is that the contractor has left the shores of Ghana. So the Attorney General is well placed to handle that matter. But we have referred the matter to the Attorney General's office.
All right. If you have referred it, we'll leave it at that.
Well, that's the minister's response. There's that this matter of the Pwalugu multipurpose dam, the contractor involved has been referred to the Attorney General. And even before today, this Pwalugu multipurpose dam, $11.9 million, you heard Dominic Nituwo mention there, the Assurances Committee of Parliament, was captured in the Operation Recover or Loot, that's the oral report. So this is a project that the Attorney General is indeed having an interest in and looking into. We understand in the coming days, according to Phyllis Kwatio-Fosu, the Minister in charge of Government Communication, the Attorney General will go to court on this Pwalugu multipurpose dam project paid to Messrs. Power Construction Corporation. So this is the contractor in question that you heard the minister talk about, $11.9 million paid to Power Construction Corporation of China as part payment for the Pwalugu multipurpose dam for no work done. This is how the oral preparatory team captured in their report. You'll find more of this on 3news.com. I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. There's a new day tomorrow morning on TV3 and also sunrise on 3FM 92.7. I'm Alfred Consi. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by